Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading a Neuvillette ASMR by me. So let's get into it. It was on the strange day that he woke up and saw those weird additions to your body. He was filled with questions, and at first he truly thought that he was seeing things, which is why he blinked a couple of times, and also tried rubbing his eyes to see if it would make a difference. But it didn't change a single thing about your current appearance and the way you had cat ears instead of just normal ones. He had no idea how to justify this. You had cat ears, and you were definitely not a cat when the two of you were sleeping right next to each other last night. So he didn't know what kind of development would have had to happen for you to suddenly grow them. Those were ears, physical ones, because he tried to just get near them and they immediately shifted. And you wouldn't be able to do that with just some weird prank. So he stared at your sleeping form, and he knew that a lot of panic would come from you as soon as you woke up. But it would be warranted, because he too is confused and panicking in his own very way. He could only look at you and tilt his head, feeling utterly confused himself. And so when you woke up and looked at him, you smiled, totally clueless of your predicament. Neuvillette, why are you looking at me like that? Nothing's wrong with me, so why are you staring? Oh, I'm merely just looking. There was nothing worrying at all, Wayan. Please, do not pay attention to it, he said. But you felt like he was not being completely honest. In fact, he was being more evasive than usual, and it looked like he didn't want to talk to you. He seemed to be avoiding any matter of communication here, not wanting to speak to you and avoiding looking in your eyes, which is why you knew there was certainly something wrong, and why you immediately got off the bed and looked in the mirror to see those cat ears on top of your head. Neuvillette, what did you do? Me? I I did nothing at all. I'm merely just so confused as you are. I have no idea where you got these from. At first I thought it was a prank of some sorts, but then I realized quickly that it in fact was not, he said, looking down. He looked too nervous for someone who hadn't done anything wrong, but you do trust him, especially considering the fact that he is a horrible liar, someone who could not lie to save his own life. And then he stares at you for a couple of moments before he hesitantly brings his hand over to your face, and soon it's getting closer to your ear, brushing against it gently. How does it feel? Does it feel like anything at all? Yes, I do feel it's a bit weird and very sensitive too. Sensitive? Well, that is to be expected. I do know that cat ears do tend to be very sensitive, although I didn't actually expect that you would feel the same way. May I scratch them, Moyan? He seemed to want to indulge himself in the act, which was something rather adorable, and you would be more happy about it if you weren't embarrassed yourself by the current situation you found yourself in. Sure thing, Neuvillette. If you really want to, then I don't see why not, you say, blushing, as his hand went to scratch behind your ear, and you found yourself just closing your eyes and letting out a soft sigh, before eventually you felt this vibration within you, and the sound coming out of your body? Not your mouth, no. and you felt very confused as to what this purring was coming from until you looked at yourself and Neuvillette smiled. You are purring, much like myself. I think that's very delightful, he says, as he purrs as well, considering he's a dragon. So the fact that you're purring, well, it's one more way he can communicate with you. So he's rather delighted, really. There is nothing bad about it for him. But as for you, well, you were very embarrassed. But eventually, you found yourself wanting to cuddle close to him, wrapping your arms around him. And Neuvillette, he was more than happy to hold you. He wraps his arms around you so gently and brings you closer, letting you bury your face into the crook of his neck. And soon, he too was purring along with you. It was honestly adorable, the way you seemed to cuddle around each other like you were cats, purring loudly in the morning. And it was one way to actually not make him want to leave so early for work, since he just got back to bed, with you in his arms, still purring as you are. And the two of you stayed like that for a couple minutes more, while he looked at you, admiring you in all your beauty. You know, perhaps you actually getting those ears is not something terrible at all. I find myself admiring them. You chuckle, shaking your head. You would admire anything about me, Neuvillette. You're just biased like that. Perhaps, but I'm so correct. Everything about you is something worth living, and that will never change. He whispers, and you melt. Your heart is but a puddle now from his gentle and soft words. And you stay like that, in your bed, together in the morning, forgetting about all of your responsibilities and all the things you had to do in favor of staying in this matter and cherishing the other's presence. And maybe even though you found it rather embarrassing how you suddenly got cat ears, it really was not that bad.